What's going on, YouTube? Today I'm going to be replacing the alternator in this 2007 Toyota Corolla, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Let's get started. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. Let's do this. First thing you're going to do is take that cover off. It just pulls right off. There's no bolts on it. Second thing you're going to do is take your battery loose, negative terminal. Lean it aside. Make sure it's not touching no ground, because you don't want the power wire in the alternator to arc. Third, you're going to pop this cap off. If you can't get it off with your fingers, just take a little pry bar, or a big pry bar, overkill. Pull that back. Take your tin off. Save that bolt, because sometimes the new alternator don't come with that bolt, and sometimes it'll come with a bolt and a washer. That's a better bolt. Reuse that. Take that loose. Unplug that. Sorry, I didn't show you how to do that. Just a little tab right here. Just push in, pull out. This little harness right here. Yeah, well, that's in the way, so pull back on this little tab right here. You can't really see it, but I'll show it to you when I get it off. Just pull back and it slides off. Now your new alternator won't come with that bracket. Tuck that out of your way. So you're going to want to transfer that bracket over. So go ahead and take it off. Put it aside, because you'll be putting that on your new alternator. Now you're going to loosen your lower 14mm bolt. Grab you a deep 14. That bolt's tight. There it goes. Take that bolt out. They're not always that tight. That one's just extra tight. You probably should break it loose with a ratchet instead of your tool. You don't want to break your tool. I'm really hard on my tools. And that bolt fell on the ground, so let's retrieve it. You're gonna need that. At least they hit the ground. You gotta love it when the bolts get caught up in the skid plate down there. You don't want to lose that bolt. That's not an easy one to find. Alright, now you got a 12mm bolt on top for the tensioner. Loosen that. Take the tension off your belt. Pop your belt off the alternator. Just kind of lean it out of the way unless you're changing it. If you're changing it, draw yourself a diagram. It's a pretty easy one to route. If you're not, just lean it to the side. It'll stay routed. Alright, now take your 12 the rest of the way out. Without dropping it. Now take this bracket off. Got this shallow socket. Put your bolt back in there so you know where it goes. You don't want to mix it up with those two because this one has a washer for the alternator. Now the alternator should come right off. You might have to do a little prying because those locking tabs, they squeeze together as you tighten the bolt. Just like that. And you got just enough room to pull it out. So I'm going to let that sit right there until I get the new one, and I'll get back with y'all when I get the new one. Alright, so I got my part. I already matched it up. You always want to match up the plugs, make sure everything looks the same, because sometimes they'll be close enough to install and then you got to plug it in, you done bolted it all down, and you realize that the plug's shaped differently and you got to pull it all back apart. So it's important to always make sure it looks identical. Pulley, same number of ribs. It's the crucial things you want to check. So enough talk, let's get back on this. And you also want to make sure this little tab is pushed all the way out, because this, when you tighten the bolt, pulls together to make it tight. Sometimes they don't reset that tab for you, so if they don't, you could take your bolt right here and thread it through, and just take a hammer and just tap it a little bit lightly, and it should push right out for you. Don't push it all the way out, just push it to where it's flush with the back of the alternator. First thing I'm going to do is going to put that bolt on first. I'm just going to run it down a little bit. I'm not going to tighten it. Let's see if this socket will clear. Do it by hand. Yeah, don't tighten it all the way until you get everything else started. You won't be able to move it. Even when you tighten the belt, you got to tighten the belt too. So. And don't tighten this bolt either. Start it, because you won't be able to swivel that as well. Don't tighten nothing until you have them all started and lined up. Belt's trying to come off. Go ahead and slip that belt over too. Make sure it's on all your ribs, nice and straight. Alright, now we can go ahead and start tightening the belt. You can go ahead and tighten that bolt. Oops. Short bolt. Short socket. Pardon me, I like to chew sunflower seeds. Keeps my mouth busy so I'm not pigging out all day. Now you want to tighten this belt just to where you can twist it. You don't want it too tight, because it can damage the bearing on the alternator or the water pump or whatever pulley is strained. Usually it's the alternator that gets taken out first. It's best to be a little loose than too tight, because it will squeak if it's too loose, and you'll be able to tighten it a little bit more. Unless you have a tension gauge, which I don't have. I've been doing this long enough to where I don't need one of those. I feel pretty confident that belt's tight enough, so we can go ahead and tighten this 12. Knock it down. Now that bottom bolt, this time I brought my ratchet out here so I don't damage my electric ratchet. That clicking noise is that tab pulling through. So don't freak out thinking you broke something. Just snug it. Put your wires back on. Remember that bolt I told you to save? Yeah, it didn't come with a new one. Sometimes I do. Lock it down. Put your little bracket back on. Snug that down. Now click this back on so it doesn't rub anything. Alright, make sure all your tools are out of the way. This is your core. Make sure you put that back in the box. You'll be sending that back. Now hook your battery back up. Tighten her down. And start the car up. Make sure it's charging between 13 and 14 volts with your voltmeter, and that's how you do it. Put your cover back on, give her a quick little test drive, make sure the belt don't squeak, and if it does, just loosen those bolts a little bit and turn it a little bit more, but I know it's not going to squeak because I've been doing this for a long time. Anyways, hope y'all like this video. Y'all have a good day. Give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Peace out, YouTube.